Hi everyone, it's Evelyn, and we're going to go over the annuals that I grow for cut flowers in my tiny urban flower farm this week. I only just recently realized that I use as many perennial cut flowers as I do annuals. So last week I did, I believe, 11 perennials I showcased in my video, and if you haven't seen that, I will link it at the end of this video. And this week I'm going over the 10 annuals that I use for cut flowers. We're going to do it in alphabetical order, and we're going to start off with anemones. Now I'm going to put a picture up here of the 3 anemones that I grew for cut flowers this year. The top one, I've got my computer here, so I'm looking at the pictures on my screen so I don't get mixed up. The top one with the blue center is called Blueberry. The one below it, which is that really strong fuchsia color, is called Anemone du Cyan Sulfide, and the one below it with the deep maroon color is called Anemone Maroon Bordeaux. So those are the 3 anemones that I grew, and the way I'm going to do this is show three bouquets and how I use them in the bouquets. Now the first bouquet I did features the Maroon Bordeaux anemone, and I've got it showcased in front of a allium with sunflowers off to the side, snowdrift Shasta daisies above it, and poppy pods poking up above it. That and a little black bachelor button off to the side. Now, if you've been following along with me for a while, it's no surprising that I've got the Maroon Bordeaux anemone in the bouquets because that just does tend to be my favorite color in cut flowers. And it will reappear in a variety of different cut flowers that I grow throughout the season. It's just a color that I'm really, really attracted to. Well, luckily, it's a top color for this fall. So the next bouquet that I've got here is also with that same anemone. And this time I've got it with the white sunflowers, white night to be specific. I've got some yarrow up above it, as well as some purple marjoram, the poppy pods, and the black button bachelor buttons, which really play off that deep maroon color very, very nicely. Now, the thing with my anemones is how I get such long stems on them to use them in bouquets is they grow in a slightly shady area so that the stems extend in length so that they're reaching for the sun. And that gives them a good, I would say, 18-inch long stem. And the one that is actually best as a cut flower out of those three is the Maroon Bordeaux. I don't know why. It holds up to the heat in my flower wagon way better than the other two. So that's another reason why I tended to use it in bouquets. The third bouquet I'm featuring, again, has the Maroon Bordeaux off to the left, but you can see the sulfide one with the fuchsia color down below it, as well as some ranunculus. Now, most of my anemones I did not grow for bouquets. I grew them to use as cut flowers in my pop cans that I sell at the flower wagon. Didn't take a picture of that with the anemones in it or the ranunculus, but I did take a picture of it with dahlias in it, so I'll put that up on the screen now so that you can see how I sell flowers in pop cans. So the second annual I grow in my tiny urban flower farm is, in alphabetical order, is the black button bachelor button. I have grown other colors of bachelor buttons, and I personally don't like them, but I absolutely love the black button. It is just such a stunning, deep black color. It's actually purple, but it reads as really, really dark. This bouquet I have up is one that I showed last week, but for yarrow. This week I'm showing it in the same bouquet, so you can see how you can see the basically the top of the black button bachelor buttons. It gives you a real good view of how they look. And they really pop against, of course, the orange of the ranunculus and the yarrow that are behind them. And it's just that little pop of frilly darkness against either contrasting colors in the same strength or lighter colors that just adds just a ton of movement to the bouquet. I mean, you kind of have the sense of back and forth in the bouquet. Thanks a lot to the black button bachelor buttons because it's like a shadow color, but it's not in the background, it's up front. So you really have that back and forth play, which I really, really like. So in the next bouquet, this is a flower arrangement that I did last year. And it's unusual in that it features very, very few focal flowers, unusual for me. In fact, the only focal flower you can see there is one little sunflower down around the neck of the vase, and that was put in there specifically to break the line of the vase's mouth. When I do flower arrangements, I like to break the line of the mouth so that there's a connection from the vase to the flower heads without a pause of stem. If there's a pause of stem, it would cause your eye to jump from the vase to the flowers, back to the vase, back to the flowers. But when you break the line of the vase mouth, in this case also with hostas, it's a nice continuous flow. But as you can see in this picture, there's just a ton of bachelor buttons in there. There's also some feverfew. And what else have I got in there? You can see some ranunculus tucked down low too. And I put the orange or salmon colored ranunculus in there to tie in with those orange swoops of color within the vase. And the yellow sunflower I put in there specifically to tie in with the yellow in the vase as well. So while the arrangement is mainly meant to feature the bachelor buttons, the other colors are put in there to do that tie-in, not only with breaking the surface line of the mouth of the vase, but also to draw in the colors from within the vase into the arrangement. So this next this next photograph of a bouquet, also has black button bachelor buttons, but it's featured in a bouquet with no contrasting colors in it. You've got the deep color of the astilbe fronds in it. You've got the deep color of the laurel leaves. Well, you do have the contrasting color of the white night sunflowers, but they're much below it. And they replicate the bachelor button in their dark center. So it's a much more muted arrangement. And yet the black button, bachelor buttons, still have that pop because they stand out proud and tall above the bouquet, and in the light background, they pop against the background. So they don't have to just pop within the bouquet itself, but if they're standing out from the bouquet, they can pop against the backdrop of what they're positioned in front of. So if you have a white wall or a pale tan wall or any pale colored walls, those black button bachelor buttons will also pop, irregardless of whatever colors are in the bouquet itself. So that's the bachelor buttons, because I'm only going to do 3 bouquets per. Oh, I'm lying, because apparently I have a 4th bachelor button bouquet up here. I think that's because I did the vase arrangement, so I put in a 3rd bouquet. So here's one where you've got it paired with dinner plate dahlias. You've got Lindsay Michelle off to the one side with the fuchsia pink and the yellow center. You've got a that looks like an AC Loomis off to the other side with the deep sort of crimson red, excuse me, and the white frosting in it. You've got the gold light sunflower below, poppy pods, and then of course the bachelor buttons. And I think I put this picture in here to show how long my bachelor buttons bloomed for. I mean, they bloomed when the anemones were going, because you saw that in the anemone bouquets. So that would have been in May. And then, of course, the dinner plate dahlias, for me, I had dahlias blooming the last week of June, but they weren't dinner plates. So this photo was either taken in, oh, I can look at it. It was taken on August 2nd. So I still had bachelor buttons going August 2nd. The bachelor buttons have a very, very long blooming period, which makes them very useful as a little filler flower, as a pop of texture and color. Okay, so that's the black button bachelor buttons. By the way, if you're enjoying this video and you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so and joining our family. And if you are enjoying this video and you haven't liked it yet, consider doing that as well. Also, if you have any comments on anything that I'm featuring as far as flowers goes, please do leave it down below, because it's nice to hear other people's thoughts and reflections on particular flowers that I'm highlighting in my videos. So the next one up is Borage. I love using Borage. It's, as you can see in this first bouquet, it's the little blue flower. They're edible, by the way. So the little blue flower and its pods just add a little bit of sparkle in and amongst everything else that's in the bouquet, which in this case, I can see a white light sunflower. I can see some Petra's Wedding ball dahlias off to the one side. I can see, what else have I got in here? I can see an orange sunflower in the back. I can see what looks like a Keith H. water lily dahlia just off to the side down below, and of course lots of poppy pods. Now this bouquet was taken on July 22nd, and what's fun about Borage is It's still blooming in my yard. See that? Now, it's not as big. My borage gets big. It grows about over my knees, so it grows at least 2 feet tall, if not 3 feet tall, and lots of side branches on it. Now you can see that this is one, and it's quite a bit smaller. But I can still use borage in my bouquets now because the borage will bloom right up until the killing frost. And then sometimes it'll come back after the killing frost and bloom again. But it will last as long as I have flowers going in the garden. So it makes it a very, very useful annual cut flower in my garden for the length of time that it blooms from. Not all from one plant. It self-seeds all over the place. It self-seeds way too much. A lot of it I'm pulling up as weeds. But the flowers that bloom in July are not the ones that are blooming now. They're just seeds that have decided to sprout and get going later on in the season because the seeds are literally all over the garden. And yeah, I love the little flecks of blue everywhere that are in it. The second bouquet was taken August 27th, so I've got the borage in this case popping out the top of the bouquet. And down below it, I have an AC Ben, which is the orange dinner plate dahlia. I have a white light sunflower facing me. There's two other white sunflowers in the back. They're either white light or white night, and of course the laurel leaves down below. And so you can see the difference between this bouquet and the last one. The last one, I'll just flip back to that one for a sec. The borage was actually sort of mid-range in the bouquet and spilling downwards. And in this particular bouquet, that with the AC Ben dinner plate dahlia, it's just up at the top of the bouquet, creating a completely different feel to the borage. The third bouquet that I have here was actually put together on August 28th, and it's the same thing. I've got the borage coming up the top, but I've also got a little bit of it coming down below. And in this particular case, I've got Spartacus dinner plate dahlia, which is the deep dark red. I've got Lindsay Michelle up top, which is the fuchsia and yellow dahlia. I've got the orange sunflowers, laurel leaves, and that's all I can see in this bouquet. So now we're going to move on to the next cut flower that I grow, which is Cosmos. Now I grew the Rose Bonbon, which is the pink double click Cosmo, as well as the Snow Puff, which is the white double click Cosmo, and they're full-headed ones. And why they're really good to use versus the regular Cosmos is because they have so many petals in them that if the odd petal falls out, it doesn't really matter because you still have that full head of petals. Now, I don't grow Cosmos for earlier on in the season. What I actually do is where I have all of my Globemaster and Ambassador alliums growing, when they finish blooming, well, if they don't finish blooming because they can stay dried on the stalk, but I've used them all by then. This year I used all but two before they dried, and I just cut those off. And once the leaves, which actually come up before the flower head on the alliums, and they start to dry up while they're blooming, but they haven't finished drying while I'm using the flower stalks. Once they've finished drying, I go in and I plant my pre-started dahlias where the alliums are so that I get a double use out of that space. And I grow the Cosmos mainly for later in the season usage as a filler flower and as for foliage. I have the Bachelor buttons earlier on in the season, and then later on I have the Cosmos to kind of do the same thing as the Bachelor buttons do. So in this first bouquet, I've got it paired again with AC Ben, which is the orange dinner plate dahlia in the center. You can see I've got the white night sunflowers there. And I've got a second flush of Snapdragons coming off. I usually do the second flush of Snapdragons when I use them in a bouquet. I usually have 3 dinner plate dahlias in a bouquet, and next to each one on the same side, I'll have a Snapdragon so that it's an even rotation around the bouquet with the Snapdragons. But out of the top, I have the Cosmos, and in this case, I have both the Snow Puff as well as the Rose Bonbon double clicks. And of course, the laurel leaves down around the base. The next bouquet, you get a real good close-up of the Rose Bonbon and how it looks in the bouquet. And it's such a nice pink. It's almost, to me, a neutral pink. You can pretty much pair it with any color, even with the gold light sunflower. There's such difference in color, but because there's just a slight purplish hue to the Rose Bonbon double click Cosmos, it creates the contrast of opposite colors with the yellow. So it pairs really well with the gold and yellow colors, as well as with the reds and the pinks and the whites and practically every other color I have in the garden. So it's a nice, what I consider a neutral in a bouquet, even though it's not a neutral. So the next bouquet that I've chosen for that, you can see I've got it paired with, well, in this case, it's the white snow puff double click cosmos. And I've got it paired with a beautiful decorative dahlia. I just love the color of the beautiful decorative dahlia. In fact, I'm going to show you what one looks like. I picked this morning. So today is December. Boy, I'm getting ahead of myself. Today is September 23rd. So this is a beautiful. Boy, it really reads pink when I'm holding it up there. I wonder if I do that, will it change its color? No. It actually reads more the color that's in the photo than it does the way it looks in the video. Interesting. Maybe when I look back at the video and start editing, it won't look as pink as it does right now. Maybe my top is influencing it. Anyway, so that's the beautiful. And I've got, in this particular bouquet, I have snowberries poking out the top. I have a Thomas Edison purple dahlia off to the side. Do I have any of those in here? Oh, I do. So this is a Thomas Edison dahlia, and it's purple, and it's just a little lighter than what's in the photo, but definitely not as pink as it's showing up here. So here's the difference between the Thomas Edison dinner plate dahlia and the beautiful decorative dahlia. They make a nice pair. And that's that bouquet. And we are now going to move on to cosmos, where I don't use it for the flower, but I use it for the foliage. So in this vase arrangement, again, you've got a Lindsay Michelle dinner plate dahlia. I should check and see if I have any of that over here. Nope. I have a purple dahlia up above it, which I believe is an Edinburgh with not much color. And this is the Edinburgh. I have an Edinburgh. You can see it's off to the side like that, but this one in the photo looks a lot purplier. I have a Spartacus dinner plate dahlia down below. And I have one of those. And it's reading a lot lighter in color too. So I think all the lights that I have on in here reflecting off the dahlias are making them all read lighter. This Spartacus is kind of fun because it's got a little shot of white showing up on it, whereas normally it's just all a deep red. But anyway, you can see in this particular bouquet, the foliage of the Cosmo is really fluffy and really textural and creates a real interesting sense of movement within the flower arrangement. I don't have any Cosmos up here. So that's that particular bouquet. We are now going to move on to, where am I here? After Cosmos comes Dahlias. Now, dahlias are my bread and butter. Because they start blooming the third week of June, and they bloom right through to the first killing frost, which can be anywhere from mid-October to December 1st, because in the last 6 years, we've had 2 killing frosts mid-October, 2 killing frosts end of October, 1 killing frost halfway through November, and 1 killing frost December 1st. So it really is anywhere in that time period. There's no one time period that stands out more than above the others. But before I go over the bouquets, I thought I'd just show you some of the other ones that I cut this morning. Those ones that I showed you before were cut this morning. So this is Yara. I'm going to put this on the floor. Actually, I have 2 Yaras. So these are both Yaras. Yara Falls? Yeah, Yara Falls. So you can see how they look with their red and white. And I'm going to put a tartan up beside it because it's purple with white. So there's a tartan, and there's Yaras. So you can see they both have a lot of white in them. The other thing you can see is that as we're getting into the cooler temperatures, so fall started on Saturday, so September 21st on the calendar. Fall also started in our neck of the woods on Saturday as well. When does that ever happen? When does the actual weather correlate with the calendar? I don't know, but as soon as September 21st rolled around, the temperatures dropped. We started getting a lot of rain, and yeah, and this morning we had fog, so it's definitely fall outside. As soon as that happens, the dinner plate dahlias will become a little bit smaller in size. The Yarra Falls has kept its size. This is exactly the size it should be. The tartan is smaller. It's a little less full than what you would expect. The This is Kenora Mac B. It does really well in the fall. It's not one you would want to use in the heat of the summer, but it is one that you would want to use, and it does show up its proper deep red. It is one that you want to use in the fall. In fact, last year when we had our killing frost, which I can't remember when it was, and it killed off all the dahlias except for Kenora Mac B. So my whole front garden is full of dahlia beds for the flower wagon, and they were all completely dead and black, except for the Kenora Mac Bs, which were blooming merrily along. So I had originally thought I would not grow them anymore, but I'm on the fence whether or not I should stop growing them because they do so well in the cold weather. So anyway, that's the Kenora Mac B. The Keith H, not Keith H, pardon me, the AC Loomis is another one that does better in the cooler temperatures, both in the beginning of the season. It's one of the earliest dinner plates to bloom. And later when the cooler weather happens again, it slows down a lot in the heat. And it's the one where if you look at the side of it, you can see the white frostings on it because the back of it's quite white. So that's the AC Loomis, which I absolutely love. I picked the second one of that this morning as well, so we'll just put that there. You can really see the white frosting on that one. I showed you a Blutiful, but I have another one in here that I picked this morning. So I have the two Blutifuls that I picked this morning. I have Arabian Nights, which as you can see next to the Blutiful is quite a bit smaller. Arabian Nights is a decorative dahlia. And then as long as I'm also grabbing the ones that I showed before, there's the Edinburgh. It's a little lopsided to one side. I probably could have opened a bit more to the other side. But I decided to, I don't know the hair that it's on it. I decided to cut it anyway because it will continue to open a bit. I, of course, have the Spartacus as another dark red, the Thomas Edison as the purple. Then I have Wanda's Aurora, which has that sort of earthy orange, almost a rusty orange to it with the yellow centers. That's a really beautiful color for fall, and it's a dinner plate dahlia. Then I have Wanda's Capella, which is a yellow dahlia and has really shrunk in its size since the colder weather started. And put that one there. This is Keith H. It's a water lily dahlia, and it doesn't do well in the heat of the summer either, but it really performs great in the fall. It's interesting that the yellows and oranges really come into their own in the fall temperatures, and yet they are the fall colors. And then I also picked a couple of longer stems of Cornell Bronze. Now those are all the long stems that I cut this morning of dahlias, but just as with the Anemones and the Ranunculus, so I tried to get these all in the water, I also cut short stems because I sell them in pot cans, as I showed you earlier on. And I cut a lot of them in short stems because some of the stems will have a flower that you can get a full length of stem with it, but they have shorter stems coming off that sometimes open first, and I'll use those in the pot cans. So these were also cut this morning. So you can see I have an Arabian Night. I have 3 Cornell Bronze. I have 2 Petra's Wedding. I have Snow Princess. Snow Princess is one that you can only use in the fall. It's a cactus dahlia, and cactus dahlias do not do well in the heat at all. This is Bolt. Bolt is a new one for me this year. I only bought 1 plant, and I'm loving it, so I want to increase that this year. Then we have Wizard of Oz. Sweet Fabian, French Louis Mayer, and Sylvia. So those are all the dahlias that I picked today on September 23rd. And like I said, I pick dahlias every morning. Any dahlia that's blooming, I will cut in the morning. The production slows down once the temperatures drop. But there's still, that's how many I picked in one day. I'll be picking that many tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. So dahlias are a really, really good flower for me for the fall season. Now, if we look at the first, so what I decided to do is, because I've shown so many bouquets that have dahlias in them when they're paired with other flowers, but I did notice I did not use many of the purple dahlias in any of the bouquets that I showed you in the past. So all three bouquets I'm going to show you of dahlias have purple colors in them. So this first bouquet has the Thomas Edison dinner plate dahlia up front, featured up front, and it's got the white marjoram off to the side, the gold light sunflowers above it, and some of the second flush of Costa Silver Snapdragons, as well as Snow Puff double click Cosmos and the laurel leaves around the bottom. So that's a purple bouquet using the Thomas Edison. The next bouquet has Edinburgh, which is the that one in the bouquet. Beside it, it's got a Arabian Nights, which is a super deep, dark red decorative dahlia. That's definitely a bigger flower than the one that's in the bucket down here, probably because it was taken before the temperatures really dropped. I have the Rose Bonbon double clip Cosmos up top. I have some dried Astilbe fronds in it. You can see I have a red lemon sunflower off to one side, an orange one off to the other, and I believe an AC Loomis just tucked around the side, and I think it's the AC Loomis because you can see that the deep crimson and the undersides are quite white, which is definitely the feature of the AC Loomis dinner plate dahlia. So that's that bouquet. And the third dinner plate dahlia bouquet bouquet that I'm going to show you has tartan in it. Now this is a fuller head than the one that I showed you, and it's paired with white sunflowers, whether they're probably a combination of white light and white night, the Costa Silver Snapdragons, as well as the Snow Puff double click Cosmos. And because of all the white within the deep dark purple of the tartan, it ties in beautifully with the whites of all the other cut flowers that are in there as well. So that is going to be it for dahlias. So the next flower that I'm going to feature as an annual is Gladiola. You may not consider them an annual, but they're going to be an annual for me the same way Ranunculus, Anemones, and Dahlias are, because I dig them up, and then I'll be replanting them again the following spring, early spring, late winter. And the reason I'm doing that for the glads is to try and get a staggered blooming period. I really don't want all my glads coming at the same time. They may stagger anyway, because to tell you the truth, I'm going to have to move my dahlias down here so that they don't knock over. Because the staggering that I did in my dahlias this year doesn't fit in with their blooming schedule. I mean, I still have a glad getting ready to bloom out in the garden now. So they staggered themselves from August through to the end of September, and that's not how I planted them. So I don't really understand why that worked that way, but I'm kind of happy that it did, because it gave me just a few to use here and there, and it's a new flower for me this year, so that was kind of fun. So anyway, the first bouquet I'm going to show you with the glads, again, I only grew espresso gladiola. Got them from my wholesaler. I have to order a certain amount of them in order to get the wholesale price. And I bought one color. I could have bought a mix, but I decided to buy the espresso because I know it's a color that I really, really like and can use mixed in with all my other things. And I'm glad that I did. If I was going to add to it, I would buy mixed because I have enough of that color. Now, it's almost the same color as the Spartacus dinner plate dahlia, as you can see in this bouquet. And you can also see that I have orange, hi Leela, sunflowers and purple marjoram with it, as well as the laurel leaves down around the bottom. Now, oops, no, hang on. I can't change the picture. Hang on. Off. Okay, good dog. Sit. So the next picture, oh, I've got it paired again with a Spartacus dinner plate dahlia, but in this particular bouquet, I've also got it featured with white night sunflowers, Costa silver snapdragons, rose bonbon double click cosmos, as well as some of the snow puff cosmos. In the third bouquet, and I'm going to know that the bouquets are all this year because I didn't have them last year. I have it paired with, okay, off. I can't see what I'm doing. Off. I have two dogs in here, and I have a camera that's about to go flying. I have it paired with snowberries, that's it, as well as a red lemon sunflower on one side, an orange sunflower on the other, the Costa silver snapdragons, and the laurel leaves. So that's it for my glads in bouquets. And we're going to now, I don't have much to share on glads because it's my first year and I'm still kind of learning about them. So no words of wisdom from me. Add your own words of wisdom down in the comment section. That would be great to hear what you have to say about that. The next annual that I'm going to talk about is one that I don't really plant. It just self-seeds itself all over the place. And that's poppies, the breadseed poppy and the peony poppy and the hybrids that have pollinated together and mixed up. As you can see by this photo, I've got a regular red breadseed poppy and two variations of the peony poppy that are, one of them is closer to the true color, that's the top one, and the other one's got, it's obviously a cross-pollination thing. Now, the really nice thing about using poppies in bouquets is not just the green, fresh pods, but as they dry, as we get closer into October, and I start having less and less flowers to use in the bouquets, because the snapdragons have already now just really slowed down, as have the cosmos. But I now have the ability to add dried poppy pods into the bouquets, excuse me, as well as the dried astilbe fronds that I talked about in last week's video. So I'm going to share here in the first bouquet. This is a spring bouquet. It's very early in the spring. It's April 19th. When my camellia was blooming last year, I did this flower arrangement. And you can see I've included some dried poppy pods in it, as well as some cherry branches, sand cherry, that is, with their blooming branches, and some other branches that I don't know what it is. So I can't help you with what that is. It's another one that was hanging over my fence for my neighbors. It's been cut back since, and I never did find out what it was, but I used it. So that just shows you how you can use dried poppy pods early in the season, not just in the fall, but in the early spring. That little blast of architectural detail of those dried poppy pods really does add something to the bouquet, I think, or flower arrangement. This next bouquet has the green poppy pods, as you've seen in a number of other bouquets that I've already featured in this video. And in this case, it's coming out the very top, as is the frothiness of the purple marjoram. I have Awanda's Aurora dinner plate dahlia front and center in the front, and some white light sunflowers off to the sides. They kind of pick up the yellow casting of the center of Awanda's Aurora dinner plate dahlia. The next bouquet, completely different color, and yet the green poppy pods, of course, work because they're green. Here I've got a glad, again, poking out the back. I've got the purple marjoram. I've got the rose shades of the Cafe au lait rose, which I love. I tested that one out this year, and I'm going to grow some more of those next year too. It's not a diva like Cafe au lait. I won't grow Cafe au lait anymore because you get so many blooms that just aren't usable. And you get some that are, but that's where I have my labyrinth dinner plate dahlia that I much prefer. But the rose bonbon is very consistent in its flower, and it's a color that I do not have in my dahlias. The only other place I have that color is in the rose bonbon double click cosmos. So I'll definitely want to increase my stock on that particular dahlia. So the next bouquet I'm going to show is not poppies, because I've done 3 bouquets. It's actually going to be the Ranunculus, because we're up to R in the alphabet, that I grew in my garden this year. So we have, as you can see, Pauline, which is the deep, dark, beautiful red that I love so much. Amandine White, which is another color that I like as little balls of freshness and sunlight reflecting out of bouquets, much the same way as the Cosmos Snow Puff, the Snowdrift full-headed Shasta daisies, the Petrus Wedding Ball Dahlia. They all have that sort of same little pop of little pieces of sun reflection of white coming out of bouquets, which I love so much. We have the Amandine Marshmallow, which is the pink Ranunculus, and again, it serves the same purpose as the white one, where it's just adding some balls of lightness to a bouquet. Amandine Salmon is actually much more orange than that. So whenever you've seen an orange ranunculus in any of the bouquets that I've shown you before, that would be the Amandine Salmon. It's a harder color to use, and yet I do find that I am able to use it quite a bit. I tried out the Amandine Yellow this year, and I don't like it at all. Really didn't like that yellow. I found it far too harsh. Same as the Bonbon, which is red that I didn't like at all. So the Amandine Yellow and the Bonbon, not 100% sure I'm going to grow them again next year. I may just grow them in pots and sell them. I've got all winter to think about that. But those are two colors that I really wasn't particularly fond of. Now, the thing is again, I grow the ranunculus, as with the anemones, mostly to sell in my pop cans. So the fact that I don't particularly like using them in bouquets really is meaningless, because I can put them in the pop cans. And just because I don't like that yellow or that red doesn't mean that somebody else won't like it. So as single flowers in the pop cans, they could sell really well. Can't remember how it worked this spring. I don't think I was paying that close enough attention to that. If I grow them again, I will have to pay more attention to that. Anyway, because I'm not showing pop can pictures, I do have some bouquets with ranunculus in it. And the first one is, this is the Amandine White. And as you can see, it almost looks like a Petra's White ball dahlia, the way it's popping out. The only reason you know it's not the Petra's Wedding, not white, ball dahlia is the time of year because of what it's paired with. So it's paired with the Globemaster alliums, the snowberry branches, some parsley umbels, and a Bartzella Ito peony. And clearly I didn't have any dahlias blooming when I had my peonies blooming. And if I look at the date, this was actually taken June 8th. So the next bouquet with ranunculus in it shows the pink. Is it pink? I can't remember what that was called. Let me just pull that up again and remind myself what the pink one was called. Marshmallow. Shows a marshmallow dahlia, ranunculus. And it's paired with sand cherry branches as well as snowberry branches. And it's got a foxglove in the foxglove is kind of facing backwards the other way. But you can see the colors really pair nicely with it. And there's also an Atropurpureum allium tucked in back there as well. The third bouquet I have with the ranunculus is a vase arrangement, not a bouquet. I'm not looking at my little thumbnail pictures. I'm just looking at them as I open them up. So this was from last year. And as you can see, I've got it paired again with some more of the dried poppy pods. I've got it paired with the black button Bachelor buttons. I have quite a few different colors of ranunculus in there. I've got the marshmallow, which is the pink, the white, which is the white, and I have a bonbon ranunculus in there, which is the red one. So it looks good in that arrangement. So, just because I didn't like them this year doesn't mean they don't work. Maybe I liked them last year. I also have a white allium off to one side and some hosta leaves down around the mouth of the bouquet to create that connection of the vase to the flower arrangement. So after ranunculus, I have, let me just open it up and see what I got. It's a surprise. We're moving on to the next cut flower, and it is Snapdragons. Now, in the spring, my Snapdragons grew really, really tall and really, really thick-stemmed and really, really full-headed flowers. The second flush this now that I'm having, the stems are much, much thinner. The flower heads are much, much shorter. And they're a little bit more fragile, but I don't care. I'm really enjoying using them at this time of year. The only thing I'm sad about is that I wasn't sure I was going to like the second flush, and I needed some more bed space. So I took out 2/3 of the Snapdragon so that I could put in another succession of sunflowers. And the way I had planted the Snapdragons in sections like that, I took out 2 colors, and I only had the cost of silver for this fall, which you may have noticed, because in anywhere there's snapdragons in the late summer arrangements, it's all cost of silver, because I had removed the Orleans Early Lemon, which is the yellow one that you see in this, well, in this bouquet over here. I'm pointing to my computer, and the pinker one, which is off to the side, which is Legends Light Pink. I really wish I had all 3. So for next year, if I know that I'm going to need to steal some of the Snapdragon space, I'm going to make sure that I lay out the Snapdragons in such a way that I steal a little of each color rather than completely getting rid of one color altogether. This particular bouquet is paired with yarrow. And on to the next bouquet, we have it paired with an, I'm going to say that's an ambassador allium, because the photo was taken on June 29th. So I think the Globe Masters were all done by then. And I've also got it paired with the Bridal Veil Astilbe, which is the right frothiness, and a little hair allium off to one side. And here you can really see the pink of the Legends Light Pink Snapdragon. And then behind it, I have an Orleans Early Lemon. And I don't have any of the Costa Silver in this bouquet at all. The third bouquet is, again, a September bouquet. So this is where the Costa Silver is. And you can see the flower heads on these Snapdragons are much shorter. They're almost, for the width of the Snapdragon head, they're all really only about twice the height. And they don't have the big point to them. The stems are much thinner again, as I said before. I've got it paired with the Wanda's Capella Yellow Dinner Plate Dahlias. I've got a dried Astilbe frond coming out the top, and you can see some Rose Bonbon Double Clip Cosmos off to the side. This was taken September 19th. So those are the Snapdragon bouquets. After that, we're going to move on to sunflowers. So I brought one up. I didn't bring one of every color. I grew 4 colors this year. Gold, which is the light-centered orange one. Orange, which is the dark-centered orange one. White Light and White Night sunflowers, which are the white petaled ones, one with the light center, one with the dark center. Now, when I cut the sunflowers, I cut them so that from the tip of my finger to somewhere in between my elbow and my shoulder is the length that I need. So I don't have to measure or anything. I just reach down, I hold it, and then I cut it with the scissors, and that's the length that I use. And this particular one is 24 inches long, and it comes from the point of my fingers up to literally halfway in between my elbow and my shoulder. So I can use my arm as a measuring gauge for when I'm cutting flowers. And with Snapdragons, that's really easy to do then. So even if it's like in the middle of the summer when the Snapdragons are taller, I can just hold it like this, go down to my elbow and just cut a little longer. At this time of year, they don't grow that tall. They don't grow more than 3 feet tall because our daylight is so much shorter, and it's cooler too. So they're wanting to go to a flower head much quicker because they're sensing winter is coming. So these particular ones, I actually have to bend down to cut, versus in the summer, I'm sort of reaching up to cut. Well, not to cut, but reaching up to get the measurement. So anyway, that's a gold light sunflower, and we will now look at the bouquets that I'm going to share with you for them. So this first one has an espresso gladiola again, as well as some purple marjoram, and it is, of course, the orange because it's got the dark center to it. The next one is the gold light, and it's a flower arrangement that I did the previous year, and I've got it paired here with the Borage. So you've got the gold light, which is exactly what I've got here, and the Borage, which is the blue flowers. I've got lots of yarrow in there in the pink color, lots of long-needled pine, a little bit of Bachelor button poking out to the side, and again, because this was earlier on in the season, I'm using dried poppy pods in it. And don't they look nice mixed in with everything else in that flower arrangement? Dried poppy pods are just great to use in flower arrangements. The third bouquet I'm featuring with here has the White Night and the White Light sunflowers in it. I've got a Firelight hydrangea at the bottom. I've got a Labyrinth and Dinner Plate Dahlia at the top. I've got a Snapdragon poking off to one side. And this was taken in September, so those are going to be the Snow Puff Double Clip Cosmos. What comes after sunflowers? Oh, no, one more sunflower. I guess, again, because of the vase arrangement, I put in a third a third bouquet because I wanted to do one featuring the red lemon sunflower, which has that sort of purpley browny shades and deep red rusty tones coming up through around the center of the sunflower. It's quite a nice sunflower. I really do really enjoy it. I enjoy using it more in the fall than in the summer. I think the colors really suit the fall arrangements. It's got a labyrinth dinner plate dahlia, snowberries, and Costa silver snapdragon you can see poking off to one side and on the other side. And I've got the snow puff double clip cosmos in there as well as the laurel leaves down around the bottom. So the next cut flower that I'm going to feature that is an annual is sweet peas. You know, I still have some sweet peas blooming in the garden, but very few, so I didn't cut one to bring in just in case I need it. Most of them are finished. I've just got a few plants that are still going, and they're the ones that are growing in the back garden. All the ones that were growing in the front garden have dried up and finished, because the front garden is much hotter than the back garden, and they didn't hold up as well to the heat wave that we had this summer. So this particular book, well, all the sweet pea bouquets are custom. I don't do them in regular bouquets. I only use them in custom bouquets because custom bouquets have a higher cost to them, usually. I mean, nobody's going to do a custom $20 bouquet when you can just go and get one from the flower wagon. They're going to be a higher cost. They take more handling, so I will use them in a higher cost bouquet. And this particular bouquet was one that I did this year. I did it back on July 15th, and you can see I've got a whole pile of things mixed in with it. I've got the blue of the borage poking up around the top and through it. I've got what looks like the snowdrift full-headed Shasta daisy. I've got a white night sunflower. I've got a, I'll look down here and pull it out. Where'd it go? It's a Sylvia ball dahlia. I can't find it. Oh, there it is. You can see the Sylvia ball dahlia down there. I've got the deep red of the Spartacus dinner plate dahlias, and I've got green poppy pods, and yeah, and lots of sweet peas in there as well. And I really like that bouquet. So that was a custom bouquet from this year. This is a custom bouquet that I did last year, and it was an expensive bouquet, so it's got a lot of stuff in it. You can see I've even got my globe thistle in there. Globe thistle just sort of shows up in my garden. I tried to get rid of it for this year because I don't really like using it in bouquets and it takes up a lot of room, but it's grew anyway in a few spots. I don't like using it because it's prickly. It's another one of those hard to handle ones, great for an expensive custom bouquet, but otherwise. So the globe thistle is the full-headed spheres of blue, but the same size as the Petrus wedding ball dahlias that are in there. I can see I've got the Keith H. Water little dahlia off to the side. I've got, what is that? Is that a labyrinth? Must be a labyrinth down near the bottom. Wanda's Capella is the yellow dinner plate dahlias. I've got snowberry branches in there and a few other things. It's hard to tell, but it's a really, really full and expensive. Okay. That was for somebody's, was that a birthday or an anniversary? I can't remember anymore. This particular bouquet was also custom, and you can see it's got a Lindsay Michelle dinner plate dahlia, which is the fuchsia with lacinated petals, which means that it's like a forked snake tongues, and the yellow in the center. Beside it is a Papageno dinner plate dahlia. It's very much like the Wanda's Aurora, but just slightly pinkier. Wanda's Capella down near the bottom. You can see a Petra's wedding in there. You can see that's the sweet peas all poking out the top, creating a light, airy feel to an otherwise very enclosed grouping of flowers. That's what sweet peas are good for. They add a lot of dance and movement and openness to a bouquet, so you can really get a lot of stuff happening in it in a tight ball, and then loosen it up with the sweet peas. The next bouquet basically uses sweet peas exactly the same way. They're poking out and around the top, moving around because they do move around when they're like that, creating airiness, creating a dance, creating lightness, creating happiness. And in this particular, you can see a Thomas Edison purple dinner plate dahlia. A Wanda's Capella down below is the yellow one. You can see a large orange sunflower. You can see Cosmos used just for their foliage in it. And there's a plum sunflower off to the one side, and that's what's in that particular custom bouquet. So those are the 10 annuals that I use as cut flowers in my garden. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that last week I went over the 11 perennials that I use as cut flowers in my bouquets. So if you want to get a full feel of what happens on my tiny urban flower farm for flowers available to use to cut for my flower wagon that's up on the road, you can get that. We've just gone through all the annuals, and to go through all the perennials, check out this video over here. Bye.